Chris Martin has finally broken his silence. After months of relentless speculation, whispered Hollywood rumors, and endless headlines questioning the fate of his relationship with Dakota Johnson, the Coldplay frontman has now spoken, calmly, deliberately, and with words that instantly sent shockwaves across the global entertainment industry. Before we go any further, stay with this story. React, share your thoughts, and stay tuned until the very end, because what Chris Martin reveals is not just about a breakup, it's about timing, growth, and a decision that may redefine how celebrity relationships are understood. For years, Chris Martin and Dakota Johnson were considered one of Hollywood's most private and grounded couples. No public fights. No messy social media drama. No sensational scandals. Just quiet appearances, subtle support for each other's careers, and a sense of stability that felt rare in the spotlight-driven world they inhabit. That's precisely why rumors of their split felt so hard to believe when they first emerged. At first, insiders dismissed the reports as exaggerated gossip. Fans clung to hope that the pair were simply spending time apart due to demanding schedules. But as sightings grew scarce and silence stretched on, questions intensified. And now, Chris Martin has chosen to address the truth himself, speaking during a low-key but emotionally charged moment that was later widely reported. Chris did not offer dates, dramatic revelations, or explicit confirmations in the traditional sense. Instead, he spoke in a reflective tone, describing the period as a quiet chapter of change. For many observers, that single phrase confirmed what rumors had been hinting at all along. The relationship had ended. Chris Martin acknowledged that his time with Dakota Johnson was deeply significant. He described the relationship as one of the most meaningful connections of his life since his highly publicized divorce years earlier. According to him, Dakota was not just a partner, but a grounding presence, someone who allowed him to exist beyond fame, tours, and global expectations. However, as his words continued, it became clear that even the strongest bonds can face realities that love alone cannot always overcome. Conflicting schedules, creative obligations across continents, and evolving personal priorities slowly created distance. Not a dramatic collapse, but a gradual realization. This is where the narrative took a turn that surprised many. Chris Martin was careful to stress that there was no betrayal, no third party, and no explosive argument behind the split. Instead, he framed it as a mutual decision rooted in honesty. Two people recognizing that their paths were no longer perfectly aligned, and yet, just when it seemed the story had reached its emotional conclusion, Chris added a line that reignited curiosity across social media and entertainment outlets worldwide. He said that the end of a relationship doesn't mean the end of connection. Those words immediately sparked debate. Was this simply emotional maturity? Or a subtle hint that the door remains open? While Chris spoke with openness, Dakota Johnson has remained silent. True to her character, she has offered no public statement. Sources close to the actress suggest she is focusing intensely on upcoming film projects and personal growth. Her composed appearances at recent events, calm, confident, and unaffected, have only deepened the intrigue. The contrast between Chris's reflective honesty and Dakota's quiet dignity has created a powerful tension in the public narrative. Fans are reading between every line, every pause, every appearance. The absence of drama has somehow made the story even more compelling. Meanwhile, Coldplay fans have begun revisiting Chris Martin's recent lyrics, searching for hidden meaning. Many now believe that his next musical chapter may carry emotional traces of this breakup. Historically, music has been Chris's most personal form of expression, and expectations are rising that future releases may subtly reflect this transition. What stands out most is how Chris Martin refuses to frame the breakup as heartbreak. Instead, he speaks of gratitude. Gratitude for shared experiences. Gratitude for emotional growth. Gratitude for love that existed, even if it no longer does in the same form. In an industry built on scandal, this perspective feels almost radical. Public reaction has been divided but intense. Some fans are mourning the end of a beloved couple. Others are praising both Chris and Dakota for handling the situation with maturity and respect. Social media continues to buzz with theories, emotional reactions, and renewed interest in every detail of their past appearances together. And then came Chris Martin's closing sentiment, simple, yet powerful. He said that life keeps moving, and love doesn't disappear, it transforms. For many, this was the emotional payoff. No tears. No spectacle. Just a quiet truth delivered without performance. So where does this leave Chris Martin and Dakota Johnson now? Is this truly the final chapter of their story, or merely a pause in a longer journey? No one can say for certain. But one thing is clear, this wasn't a breakup built on chaos, it was built on clarity. As the world waits to see what comes next, this story stands as a rare example of a Hollywood ending that doesn't rely on scandal to make an impact. Sometimes, the most powerful revelations are the ones spoken softly. The aftermath of Chris Martin's statement continues to ripple through Hollywood, reshaping public perception not only of his relationship with Dakota Johnson, but of celebrity breakups as a whole. In an industry where endings are often loud, chaotic, and strategically public, this one feels strikingly restrained, and that restraint is precisely what keeps audiences hooked. Insiders close to the situation say the decision to part ways was not sudden. It was the result of long conversations held far away from cameras, tour buses, and red carpets. As Coldplay's global commitments expanded and Dakota Johnson's acting career entered an increasingly demanding phase, both reportedly began to confront an uncomfortable truth: love, while still present, was no longer enough to bridge the growing distance between their daily realities. According to sources familiar with the matter, there was no single breaking point. Instead, it was a slow accumulation of moments missed, milestones celebrated apart, and futures imagined on different timelines. Those close to Chris describe him as introspective during this period, leaning heavily into meditation, songwriting, and close friendships. Dakota, meanwhile, is said to have immersed herself in work, choosing focus over public commentary. What has fascinated observers most is the absence of bitterness. There are no anonymous leaks attacking character, no carefully planted narratives designed to shift blame. This silence, intentional or not, has elevated the breakup into something almost philosophical, a rare moment where the public is invited to witness emotional maturity instead of emotional collapse. Entertainment analysts point out that Chris Martin's language was carefully chosen, yet deeply personal. By framing the breakup as a transition rather than a failure, he subtly challenged the dominant Hollywood narrative that relationships must either last forever or end disastrously. His words suggest something else entirely, that some relationships succeed by shaping who we become, not by lasting indefinitely. This perspective has resonated strongly with fans. Online discussions have shifted from gossip-driven speculation to reflective conversations about timing, growth, and the realities of long-term relationships. Many fans have expressed appreciation for the honesty, saying it made the story feel relatable rather than untouchably glamorous. At the same time, questions continue to linger. Will Chris Martin channel this emotional chapter into new music? Will Dakota Johnson eventually address the breakup in her own words? Or will both choose to let the story fade quietly into the background as they move forward? Industry insiders suggest that Coldplay's future releases may carry subtle emotional weight tied to this period. Chris Martin has long been known for transforming personal experiences into universal anthems, and expectations are high that this chapter, marked by reflection rather than pain, could inspire a new creative direction. Fans are already dissecting recent performances, searching for shifts in tone, lyric emphasis, and emotional delivery. Dakota Johnson's path forward appears equally deliberate. With several high-profile projects reportedly in development, she is entering a phase of her career defined by independence and creative exploration. Her continued silence is being interpreted by many not as avoidance, but as control, an intentional decision to separate personal life from professional momentum. The broader cultural impact of this breakup cannot be ignored. In recent years, audiences have grown increasingly fatigued by manufactured drama and scandal-driven narratives. The response to Chris Martin and Dakota Johnson's quiet separation suggests a shift in what the public values: authenticity, restraint, and emotional intelligence. Still, the intrigue remains. The line Chris Martin delivered about connection not ending has taken on a life of its own. Some believe it reflects a lasting bond of respect and friendship. Others see it as a poetic way of closing a door without slamming it shut. Whatever the interpretation, it ensures that the story continues to live in the public imagination. For now, both Chris Martin and Dakota Johnson appear committed to moving forward, not in opposition to one another, but on separate paths shaped by shared history. There are no visible signs of regret, only acceptance. And in Hollywood, acceptance is perhaps the most unexpected headline of all. As fans, media, and industry insiders continue to watch closely, one thing becomes increasingly clear: this is not a story driven by shock value. It is driven by quiet truth. And sometimes, those are the stories that last the longest. Whether this chapter remains a definitive ending or evolves into something else entirely, it has already left a mark. Not because of what was lost, but because of how it was handled. In a world obsessed with spectacle, Chris Martin and Dakota Johnson have offered something far more compelling, a reminder that even endings can be graceful. And as the spotlight slowly shifts away, the final question lingers in the background, unresolved but impossible to ignore: was this truly goodbye, or simply the most honest pause of their lives? As days pass, the ripple effect of Chris Martin's revelation only grows stronger. Major entertainment outlets continue to revisit the timeline of his relationship with Dakota Johnson, piecing together past interviews, rare public appearances, and subtle comments that once seemed insignificant. In hindsight, many now believe the signs were there all along, hidden not in scandal, but in silence. Observers note that in recent months, Chris Martin appeared more introspective during public engagements. His interactions with fans felt warmer yet more restrained, his on-stage remarks increasingly reflective. While Coldplay concerts remained euphoric and powerful, some longtime followers sensed a shift in emotional tone, as if the music was carrying an unspoken weight. At the time, few connected it to his personal life. Now, those moments are being reinterpreted through an entirely new lens. Sources within the music industry suggest that Chris Martin has been navigating a period of deep self-evaluation. Rather than masking personal change with distraction, he reportedly embraced it. Friends describe him as someone who has learned, through years of fame, love, loss, and reinvention, that clarity often comes not from holding on, but from letting go with intention. Dakota Johnson's side of the story remains largely unwritten in public, and that absence has become part of the narrative itself. Unlike many high-profile breakups where competing versions of events dominate headlines, this one is defined by restraint. Dakota has neither denied nor confirmed anything directly, allowing Chris Martin's words to stand alone. This imbalance of visibility has only fueled curiosity, yet it has also earned her quiet respect. Industry commentators point out that Dakota's silence may reflect a broader shift in how modern celebrities reclaim agency. By refusing to participate in the traditional breakup media cycle, she avoids reducing a deeply personal experience into consumable drama. Instead, she allows her work to speak, signaling that her identity is not defined by who she is dating, or no longer dating. As the story continues to circulate, one theme keeps resurfacing: maturity. Fans and critics alike have highlighted how rare it is to witness a breakup narrative that does not rely on conflict. There are no accusations, no emotional outbursts, no attempts to control the storyline through leaks. What remains is something quieter, yet far more resonant, a sense of mutual respect that refuses to be diluted for attention. This approach has sparked broader conversations online about relationships, timing, and emotional growth. Many fans have shared personal stories, saying that Chris Martin's words helped them reframe their own experiences with love and separation. In this way, the news has transcended celebrity culture and entered a more universal emotional space. Still, unanswered questions linger. Will the two remain connected as friends? Will their paths cross again in unexpected ways? Or will time gently place this chapter where it belongs, in memory, rather than possibility? The ambiguity keeps audiences watching closely, even as both individuals appear focused on what lies ahead. Entertainment strategists suggest that this period could mark a turning point in Chris Martin's public persona. Known for optimism and emotional openness, he now seems to be entering a phase defined by calm acceptance rather than idealistic hope. That evolution, subtle as it may be, could influence not only his music but his broader creative legacy. For Dakota Johnson, the moment feels equally pivotal. With increasing control over her career choices and public image, she stands at a crossroads that many actresses face, balancing visibility with privacy, vulnerability with strength. How she navigates the coming months may further redefine how Hollywood perceives her. As the media cycle continues, one thing becomes increasingly evident: this story endures not because of explosive revelations, but because of what it withholds. The lack of spectacle invites deeper attention. The absence of noise forces listeners to lean in. In the end, Chris Martin's decision to speak, without oversharing, has set the tone. He offered honesty without exhibition, emotion without manipulation. That balance has left a lasting impression, turning what could have been a fleeting headline into a moment of genuine reflection within pop culture. And so the story remains open-ended. Not frozen in heartbreak, not sealed with finality, but suspended in a space that feels human and unresolved. In a world addicted to instant conclusions, Chris Martin and Dakota Johnson have delivered something far more compelling, a reminder that some endings are not meant to shock, but to quietly transform everyone who witnesses them. As the conversation surrounding Chris Martin and Dakota Johnson continues to unfold, the narrative has begun to take on a deeper cultural meaning, one that extends far beyond celebrity gossip. What started as a simple question about a breakup has evolved into a broader reflection on modern relationships, personal boundaries, and the emotional cost of living in the public eye. Veteran entertainment journalists note that Chris Martin's choice to speak, while remaining deliberately vague, reflects years of experience navigating fame. He has lived through highly publicized love, divorce, and reinvention before. This time, however, his tone suggests a man who no longer feels the need to defend, explain, or dramatize his personal life. Instead, he appears focused on truth, spoken carefully, without excess. Behind the scenes, those familiar with Coldplay's inner circle describe a period of quiet transition. Rehearsals reportedly became more introspective, with Chris spending extended time refining lyrics and melodies. While no official confirmation has been given, many believe that this emotional chapter is already influencing his creative output. Historically, moments of personal change have often preceded some of Coldplay's most impactful work, and expectations are building that this phase could follow the same pattern. Public fascination has also been fueled by the stark contrast between how this breakup is unfolding and how celebrity separations are typically presented. There are no exclusive interviews filled with accusations, no carefully timed leaks to control public sympathy. Instead, there is space for interpretation, empathy, and personal projection. That space has allowed audiences to insert their own experiences into the story, making it feel intimate rather than distant. Social media analytics reveal a notable shift in tone among fans. Rather than focusing solely on blame or speculation, many conversations center on growth, timing, and emotional honesty. Posts analyzing Chris Martin's words often frame them as lessons rather than confessions. This response suggests a changing audience, one increasingly drawn to authenticity over spectacle. Meanwhile, Dakota Johnson's continued silence has become one of the most talked about aspects of the story. In an era where visibility is often equated with relevance, her decision not to speak has been interpreted as a powerful statement in itself. Industry observers argue that this silence reinforces her autonomy, signaling that she refuses to let her personal life overshadow her professional narrative. Sources close to the actress describe her as calm and forward-looking. Rather than retreating, she is said to be deeply engaged in upcoming projects, using work as both focus and grounding. Her approach contrasts sharply with traditional post-breakup narratives, further strengthening the perception that this separation was handled with intention rather than impulse. As weeks pass, the question of reconciliation continues to surface. Chris Martin's remark about connection lingering has been dissected endlessly. Some interpret it as hope. Others see it as closure delivered with compassion. What remains clear is that the ambiguity was not accidental. By leaving space for interpretation, Chris ensured the story would resonate longer and deeper. Entertainment psychologists have weighed in, suggesting that the public response reflects a collective desire for healthier relationship models, especially among influential figures. Seeing two high-profile individuals choose respect over resentment offers a counter-narrative to the chaos often associated with celebrity culture. This perspective has reframed the breakup as less of an ending and more of a transition. Rather than asking who walked away, audiences are now asking what comes next. For Chris Martin, the answer may emerge through music, subtle interviews, or continued silence. For Dakota Johnson, it may appear through bold career choices and carefully curated privacy. What cannot be ignored is how this story has lingered. In a fast-moving media landscape where headlines are replaced within hours, this one persists. Not because new facts keep emerging, but because the emotional undercurrent continues to invite reflection. That endurance alone speaks volumes. As the spotlight gradually softens, the lasting image is not of heartbreak, but of composure. Not of loss, but of evolution. Chris Martin did not frame the breakup as something taken from him, nor did he imply blame. Instead, he framed it as something learned. In the final analysis, this chapter in Chris Martin and Dakota Johnson's lives may be remembered not for its drama, but for its restraint. A rare moment where fame stepped aside and humanity took center stage. And perhaps that is why, long after the initial headline fades, the story continues to echo, quietly, thoughtfully, and with a resonance that refuses to disappear.